Hi, it's Katrina! From the lonely version of Machu Picchu to ruins saved from obscurity, here are 8 ancient archaeological sites you've probably never heard of. Number 8. Choqquequirao, Peru. One of the most remote Inca ruins in the Peruvian Andes, Choqquequirao is not as famous as Machu Picchu, but it is just as stunning. It's known as the Lonely Machu Picchu since it is one of the more remote Incan ruins. At the site, an intricate display of Inca stairways and terraces are cut into this deep jungle above the Apurimac River, 100 miles west of Cusco. The ruins, believed to have been a royal estate for Inca nobility, were built a few generations before the Spanish arrived in the area. With a plaza, ceremony and meeting halls, and stairways flanked by irrigation channels, the settlement located within the mountainous terrain is surrounded by jungle on either side. Over the last 20 years, ruins have been uncovered in Choqquequirao, whose name means cradle of gold. The archaeological complex is located at the foot of Mount Salcante, a 2-day mule ride from the nearest road. Known as the Sacred Sister of Machu Picchu, the complex is being recovered by the Peruvian government as an alternate destination for tourists traveling to Peru. Have you ever been to Machu Picchu? Would you like to? Let me know in the comments below. Presumed to have been a cultural religious center for the Inca Empire, some believe it was once a checkpoint for those coming into the area because it connected the jungle complex to other religious centers. Various species adapted to the different temperatures at Choqquequirao, including Indian deer, chinchillas, hummingbirds, and spectacled bears. Giant ferns and a variety of orchids make it a magical place to visit. Located 10,000 feet above sea level and 5,000 feet above the roaring waters of the river below, with snow-capped peaks surrounding the site, makes it easy to see why the Inca used it as a ceremonial center that was dedicated to the worship of mountain gods, the river, and the elements of nature. For a long time, Choqquequirao was so remote that it was shrouded in mystery. With its complex terrace system, ritual places dedicated to the sun, ancestors, earth, water, and other divinities, it serves as an equally important ancient site when compared to Machu Picchu. Number 7. Tombs of the Nobles, Egypt. The Valley of the Kings in Egypt is one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world and where King Tut was found. But have you heard of the Tombs of the Nobles? Similar to other sites from ancient Egypt, the necropolis has hundreds of rock-cut tombs dedicated to high-ranking Egyptian nobles. Many of the tombs date back as much as 3,800 years, with statues, paintings, and hieroglyphics decorating them. While most tourists flock to the tombs of the pharaohs, a trip to these tombs offers an exclusive look at a cluster of tombs built into a rocky hillside without much pomp and circumstance. But that doesn't take away from the importance of this site, as it is dedicated to various governors, administrators, and other minor figures who helped to keep the inner workings of the ancient culture run smoothly. Discovered in 1885 by a British archaeologist named Lord Grenville, the site houses a long list of notable residents from the Old and Middle Kingdom. To the average history buff, though, the names may not be as famous as Akhenaten, Nefertiti, or Tutankhamun, but the residents, including a mayor of Thebes, a scribe to Hatshepsut and Thutmose III, and other scribes and stewards, also demonstrate the wealth and life of those who served the pharaohs closely. The tombs of the nobles are an equally important piece of the puzzle that makes up ancient Egypt. And now for number 6. But first, if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back! And I want to say thank you to Opdude and the Gacha Pals for supporting this channel. If you are new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Number 6. Vatican Necropolis. Hidden beneath St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, an astounding collection of sculpture, art, woodworking, and reliquaries detail the storied past of ancient Romans. Spanning 2,000 years of history, the preserved artifacts represent 6 different historical periods. The Vatican necropolis goes down 3 levels beneath the street surface to a 1st century AD pagan burial ground. The second level, a 5th century pagan and Christian burial ground with mausoleums and other rooms, contribute to the staggering collection of artifacts that account for nearly 90% span of the Roman Empire. Within the necropolis, a small earthen mound is lit and cordoned off from the others. Inside, it is said to hold the bones of St. Peter, as well as the rock that the original church was first built with. Pope Pius XI requested the archaeological excavations so he could be buried as closely as possible to St. Peter. Located north of the city center in Rome, Vatican City is about 1/8 the size of Central Park in New York. Rich in culture and religious history, people around the globe visit Vatican City to not only be surrounded in its cultural history, but also to catch a glimpse of the Pope himself. The Vatican necropolis is not the same as the Vatican grottos. Located 5 floors down below the most visited church in the world, the necropolis is one of the best-kept secrets of the Vatican. To preserve the delicacy of the archaeological artifacts from decay, visits are limited to small groups who wish to see the pagan burial grounds, the stone mausoleums, the tomb of St. Peter the Apostle, and the other important items of religious history. Have you been to the Vatican? Did you visit the necropolis? Let me know in the comments below. Number 5. Bagan, Myanmar. From the 9th to 13th centuries, the ancient city of Bagan was the political, economic, and cultural center of the pagan empire. Between the 11th and 13th centuries, the wealthy rulers commissioned thousands of temples to be built, with over 10,000 Buddhist temples, pagodas, and monasteries once standing on this 100 square kilometer plain in central Myanmar. Today, the remains of over 2,200 temples, pagodas, and monasteries are still present. Built over the course of 250 years, the prosperous city grew and soon became a cosmopolitan center for religious studies. Monks and scholars from as far away as India came to study there, but when the Mongols invaded the area, they sacked the kingdom and the golden age of Bagan ended. Although the village was reduced to ruins, religious monuments continued to be built up to the mid-15th century. People still continue to visit the area as a pilgrimage, but most only visit the most prominent temples. Many of the less famous, out-of-the-way temples fell into disrepair, and others were damaged by natural disasters such as earthquakes. Today, only a few dozen temples are kept up. In the 1990s, the government began to restore some of the damaged pagodas, but more modern materials were used instead of trying to retain the original architectural style. Because of the government's irresponsible actions, UNESCO rejected the city as a World Heritage Site, since many of the temples were restored without sticking to historic methods. Despite that, visitors continue to travel to the area to see the hundreds of ruined temples and get a glimpse into the past of the Bagan culture. Number 4. Ani, Turkey. Located on a secluded plateau of northeast Turkey, the archaeological site of Ani features residential, religious, and military structures of the city that once flourished in the 10th and 11th centuries. The capital of the Armenian kingdom of the Bagratides, Ani later became an important crossroads for merchant caravans, but both a Mongol invasion and a devastating earthquake in 1319 were the beginning of the city's decline. Located on a plateau overlooking a ravine that forms the natural border with Armenia, Ani has been inhabited since the Bronze Age. The property has 3 different zones, including the citadel with ruins of multiple churches, the outer citadel or walled city with temples, cathedrals, and a market, and the area outside the city walls with rock-carved structures located on the slopes of one of the local valleys. There are also a number of religious monuments from Christian, Muslim, and Zoroastrian denominations. The architectural design reflects the various peoples who met there, including Armenians, Georgian, and Islamic cultures. It also displays the Armenian culture with techniques and styles unique to its people. The medieval architecture of its military, religious, and civil buildings is a unique combination that offsets the tunnels and caves located beneath the plateau. Located across the Caryon River from Armenia, the crumbling metropolis known as the City of 1001 Churches was founded more than 1600 years ago. Despite being conquered hundreds of times, this ancient city and its impressive ruins offer a glimpse at a once great site and its importance to the Armenian people. Number 3. Prasat Muang Sing, Thailand. In western Thailand, near the Myanmar border, an outpost of crumbling city walls lingers. Prasat Muang Sing, a group of ancient Thai temples, were originally built between the 12th and 13th centuries. Now they lay hidden in thick jungle undergrowth. Uncovered about 50 years ago, the temples consist of 4 monuments as well as a set of prehistoric burial sites, with a main building complex, smaller complex that is mostly destroyed, and ruins of 2 smaller ancient buildings. Prasat Muang Sing is a 50-kilometer drive from the city of Kanchanaburi. Similar to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Prasat Muang Sing acted as a stronghold to protect the kingdom from the invasion from the west. Within the complex, there are 4 monuments, with a main building complex that features walls, gates, and an impressive bodhisattva statue. A smaller building complex, mostly ruined over time, and 2 smaller ancient buildings, also in ruins, make up the rest of the site. Separate from the temples is an area of prehistoric burials, proving that the area has been inhabited for centuries. Set amongst vast forests and River Kwai running past it, Prasat Muang Sing is a spectacular hidden gem that still shows some of the beauty of this fallen civilization. Number 2. Pella, Jordan. Inhabited as early as 5000 BC, the ancient city of Pella prospered during the Greco-Roman period. Placed at the crossroads of numerous trading routes that linked Europe to the Near East and Asia, the city flourished with trade and was influenced by the diverse cultures who visited there. Later coming under the rule of the Ptolemies, disaster struck Pella in 83 BC when the leader of Judeo destroyed the city when its inhabitants refused to embrace Judaism. During the Byzantine era, Pella was revitalized when trade routes strengthened and industry developed. It is believed that 25,000 people lived in or near Pella during the late 5th century. But as various armies took control and a great earthquake destroyed much of the city, it was later abandoned for 5 centuries. Now, a team of American and Australian archaeologists continue to unearth its treasures. The remnants of a church, as well as an immense water tank, ruins of houses, shops, and other city buildings have also been located. The ruins of a large Byzantine church that was built in the 6th and 7th centuries, as well as Roman baths, have also been found. As archaeologists continue to explore, the hope that they may find remains of early Christians at the ancient site continues. A cave complex located a short distance from the main mound could possibly hold antiquities of Pella's original inhabitants. Number 1. Skara Brae, Ireland. Known as one of Orkney's most visited ancient sites, the village of Skara Brae is considered one of the most remarkable prehistoric monuments in Europe. Discovered in the late 1800s after exceptionally high tides during a storm unearthed its ruins, the village was saved from obscurity. Ancient stone-built structures originally used by local fishermen were uncovered by a local laird, who excavated and revealed 4 houses that were dated back to the Iron Age. Over the years, various excavations have taken place at the site, with numerous artifacts being uncovered, but determining the age of them was a bit of a challenge. It wasn't until the 1970s, when further excavations were undertaken by the National Museums of Scotland, that enough material that was suitable for radiocarbon dating was uncovered. Researchers found that the site was in fact Neolithic and that it originally stood some distance from the sea. The 2 cliffs on either side of the bay were once joined together and formed a barrier to protect the site. 2 villages have been uncovered on the site, and they are believed to have been used for about 600 years. The earlier houses were built on a lower level than the later houses, and modern visitors can get a bird's eye view of the different structures from above. Researchers discovered that the original village was dismantled and the site partially leveled to build the new village. Despite the differences, both sets of houses were laid out roughly the same way, with the hearth in the center and stone blocks for seats. Linked by a subterranean passageway, the houses were connected so inhabitants could move from house to house without having to go outside. But these ancient structures were not the only things that were found here. The skeletons of 2 women were buried under one of the houses, but it is not clear if they were dead when they were put there or if they were sacrificed. With other innovations such as indoor drains and cells used to store goods, including a cache of bone beads, Skara Brae is a remarkable village that was later abandoned and buried over time under a layer of fine sand. If not for the vicious storm, this ancient site may never have been uncovered. Thanks for watching! Which of these sites would you want to visit? Let me know in the comments below. Scotland is definitely at the top of my list for many reasons. Be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye!